inspired by my grandma Maninha, and she passed away a few years ago. I wanted to make a look that was inspired by her, but also something that a lot of grandmas and women of her age wear in Cape Vert. They usually have a scarf or something that they tie around their head, and then they wear a blouse and a midi skirt, and usually they have an apron on top. And something that my grandma also enjoyed to do was smoking her pipe. Today is International Women's Day, which is a beautiful day to reflect about the special women in our lives. Like, my grandma is no longer here, but I hold a special place for her in my heart. And I also wanted to honor my mom, because like, without the two of them, I wouldn't even exist right now. And I learned a lot from my grandma. Like, in our family, like most of Cape Verdean people, like, we don't really talk about our emotions and that kind of stuff. So she really led by example. And I learned a lot from her about unconditional love, forgiveness, but also being of service. Like, my grandma, like, she would treat everybody the same way and love everybody the same way, even people who I thought that didn't deserve it. And I would also admire the fact that every day she would help clean stuff and help the people like around my aunt's business. And that's not something that she did because she had to, but because she enjoyed being of service. And a beautiful lesson that she shared with my mom was about forgiveness. And she told my mom that when somebody does you wrong, you do them good. And basically, like, I'm translating it, so it sounds a bit weird, but basically what she was saying is that take the high road. Even if somebody's mean to you, be kind to them. And not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be happy. And it's because you deserve to be a loving person. And like, my grandma was really somebody who talked the talk, but also walked the walk. So today's look is inspired by my grandma. It's not an exact copy of it, but it's more like my modern interpretation of what her look would look like in 2016. Because like, I know my mom is gonna look at the skirt and say like, no, that's not what Maninha wore, like, that's too short. Yes, I know. But I ended up cutting the fabric a little bit shorter than what I intended it to. But when I wore it, I actually liked it. So enjoy this tutorial and let me know in the comment below who you want to celebrate on International Women's Day. Whether it's your mom, your grandma, like, honor somebody from your family. A lot of times we don't appreciate what they've done for us, but without their work and efforts, we wouldn't be where we are today. They open doors for us to make our lives easier. So make sure you appreciate it and say thanks for it, because a lot of times we take things for granted and it shouldn't be. So enjoy this tutorial and enjoy creating the skirt and many more looks. Thank you for watching! For this tutorial you need a non-separating zipper, and I used 2 yards of fabric to start with, as this had the length I needed for the skirt. Cut a piece on top first for the waistband. Then place the skirt of the desired length next to your fabric and cut it. To gather the fabric, I used a piece of wool, which I cut at the same width of the fabric. Then I place it at the very top and use a zigzag stitch and set the tension at its lowest. To test it, I practiced on a piece of fabric first, and once you sewed it, you can pull the wool to gather the fabric. Make sure that when you sew that you don't sew on the wool, otherwise you won't be able to pull the fabric. Cut the waistband at the desired length. I use a skirt and fold it double before cutting it. Then you can continue to gather your fabric until it's the same length as your waistband. Once that's a fact, you can spread the gathered fabric so it's more harmonious and spread. Then place the waistband on top, making sure the right sides of the fabric face each other. Pin it and then sew it. At this point I should have placed the zipper and then fold the waistband, but I forgot. So I folded the top and sewed it on the bottom and top of it. Place the zipper on the side of your skirt. The front sides are facing each other. Pin it and sew it. Then fold your skirt and do the same on the other end. Now sew the rest of your skirt, hem the bottom and you're done. For the headscarf I cut a square. I folded so it became a triangle and then cut it. You can hem all the sides if you prefer, but I didn't. I fold this piece as a triangle and then place it over my hair, leaving a bit out on the front. Tie it in the back and wear it like this, but I found the fabric to be too stiff, so I use an elastic to tie both my hair and scarf. And this is the Cape Verdean inspired look. If you enjoyed this tutorial, click like and subscribe for more videos. And I would be very grateful if you share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching!